مجلس خبرگان حضرت آیت الله العظما سید مجتبی خامنه‌ای رهبر عزیز ما ولی فقیه ما. الله اکبر. الله اکبر.
Well, joining me now is former National Security Advisor during Trump's first term, John Bolton, also former UN ambassador. So, Ambassador, what do you know about the Ayatollah's son?
Well, he has long desired to succeed his father, and if you go back 6-7 years ago, was waging a campaign such as one does in that regime to be the successor. He was opposed by a lot of people who thought he was not competent, not bright enough, not able enough to succeed his father. And indeed, one of the reasons that they made an effort actually to set up an alternative line of succession through the presidency to elect an Ayatollah as president, who could then naturally step from the #2 job to the #1 job, expressly to stop Mojtaba. Now, that president, unfortunately, had his helicopter crash into a mountain, and he was succeeded by the current president, Pezeshkian, who is not an Ayatollah and therefore can't succeed. So I don't think Mojtaba is going to be elected easily, and if he does, in a way, I think that's good, because I think there will be enough dissatisfaction among other Ayatollahs and other parts of the regime that will help the process we want to see here, which is the regime fragmenting at the top.
Mojtaba, you say many inside Iran thought wasn't competent enough or bright enough to lead. Does he have, does he have any education? Has he ever been outside Iran? Does he, what is his biography?
I don't know much about the biography, but he is an Ayatollah. At least he's qualified to be an Ayatollah, and therefore qualified on paper to be Supreme Leader. But his manner of operating as the son of the Supreme Leader, I think, antagonized a lot of people. And the very notion that they would be establishing a hereditary succession sounds remarkably like the Shah's.
Right.
And I think a lot of the other Ayatollahs didn't like that idea one little bit.
So he has close ties to the Revolutionary Guard. Many say that's a sign that hardliners would continue their hold on power. He also has an agenda for revenge. It wasn't just his father who was killed in the first strikes of Operation Epic Fury. His mother was killed, his wife was killed, and one of his sons was killed.
Yeah, look, this question of who's a hardliner among the Ayatollahs, if by hardliner you mean somebody who opposes teenage boys going to soccer games with teenage girls, I don't know what Mojtaba is. Ahmadinejad, an earlier president, was known as a progressive because he was perfectly content to allow that to happen. I define hardliner as somebody who wants a nuclear weapon for Iran, and as far as I know, they're all hardliners.
So is there any chance, first of all, I'm fascinated by this, campaign to support him. This feels very odd. But is there any chance that he would moderate if he were in charge of Iran, more in the mold of MBS in Saudi Arabia?
Zero. Look, everything we know about the younger generation of Ayatollahs is that they're just as extreme, maybe even more extreme, than the elder generation. People have been saying for 47 years, oh, the regime will moderate. It is not moderating. And I don't care what they think about teenage boys sitting next to teenage girls at soccer events. I don't want a regime with that kind of fanaticism possessing nuclear weapons. That's why you need regime change in Iran. And it's misdirection to say we just want to degrade their nuclear weapons capabilities. Until this regime goes, whoever replaces the Ayatollah Khamenei is going to go back to trying to achieve nuclear weapons, supporting terrorist groups and terrorist activities around the world. It is the regime that's the problem. It's not one person. It's their ideology and their belief system.
Yeah. I wonder why the president doesn't just say that. Regime change, that as clearly as you just did.
He basically has said it. It's Vice President Vance and the MAGA isolationists that don't want to hear those words. But I will guarantee you, Israel wants regime change, and we're actively aiding Israel in their effort.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a coalition, the objectives of which are regime change.
John Bolton, Ambassador to the United Nations, former National Security Advisor, thank you so much. Appreciate your insight tonight. All right.